Hi everyone! It is fall season, or almost fall season anyway. Many of us associate this time of year with going back to school, which will be the topic for today's video, but with a little twist, you will see. I just thought it could be fun to share some of my school art experience, how my art was affected by the school and how the school affected my art. But school will not be the only prompt today. It is almost spooky art challenge month, and you know what that means. A new fresh Kattvalk prompt list. This is my own list of prompts that you can use during the month of October and draw each day if you want to, or just whenever you feel like it, and you can use any art supplies that you like. Also, you don't have to draw cats. The only thing that I'm asking for really is you to have fun with it. So we have the main prompt, which is school, and to make it a little more interesting, I'm gonna pick a few of the Kattvalk prompts and we will see what happens. I have them all in this jar. So we have the first prompt, which is spell. Ooh, I like that. Let's pick another one. We got moon. Oh, floral. I have a few ideas already, but I think I'm gonna add one more, which is backpack. That is quite fitting. So to our school prompt, we are adding spell, moon, floral, and backpack. Well, hello, a note from future me. I double and triple checked so there wouldn't be any repeated prompts from previous years, but the prompt spell was in fact on last year's list. I don't know how I missed that, so I'm changing spell into charm instead, and it will be on the final list. So I already got an idea for what I want to make, and I will probably add a few more of these prompts to the drawing. So yeah, let's get started. So we have the 5 prompts: school, spell, which I've changed into charm, moon, floral, and backpack. And perhaps it is a little too obvious, but I just had to make it a magical school. But immediately I felt intimidated just by the thought of drawing a room with a bunch of furnitures and perspective and stuff. I know I don't have to make it an indoor classroom, but that is just what I was going for. So I'm starting with something a little easier, sketching my characters, the witch cats. I absolutely love these witchy little kitties. To be honest, my brain has been a little fried lately from doing many different projects, and I felt a bit out of shape, to say the least. I don't know, it just felt wonky to draw. I had this image in my head, but I had trouble getting it through my hand and out on the paper. So I tried to make it as easy and fun for me as possible so that I would still enjoy the process. I couldn't really figure out the classroom, the perspective, and how I wanted to furnish it, so I basically made the characters first and I placed them how I wanted them to be, and then I sketched the room around them. And we don't talk about perspective at all. Nope. And I could have added so many more details to this, and I really wanted to, but again, I tried to keep it simple for my own sanity. But I'm really loving how this is turning out already. We have this cozy classroom with the witch kitties doing different things. Something that I wish that I've added to make it feel more like a classroom is a blackboard with perhaps some scribbles on it, but I can always revisit this idea in the future if I want to. And I will be using supplies from one of my favorite marker brands, Ohuhu. That is also happening to be sponsoring today's video, so thank you so very much. Ohuhu, as you may know, recently launched this incredible bleed-proof marker paper, which you can use markers on both sides without the ink showing through. I was genuinely impressed by the performance and durability of this paper. They also have all kinds of fine liners in different sizes and colors that are compatible with alcohol-based markers. Ohuhu is currently running a back-to-school sale, so make sure to check that out. Links are in the description. So the supplies I will be using for this art is of course markers from Ohuhu. I have both the brush and the bullet tip markers, the bleed-proof paper to which I printed the line art. I use an inkjet printer and it works great with alcohol markers. I will also be using gel pens and some color pencils. Alright, so when making this video, I was asked by Uhuhu to do a little cheerful and inspiring story time about specific school events or experiences, which I'm more than happy to do. My stories will be art related because it seems the most relevant in this case. Art is probably one of the most consistent things in my life. It has been with me all the way from kindergarten throughout school until now, so I was excited to share a few, perhaps not stories, but anecdotes about certain artistic experiences. At my younger age, I really liked school. I had a lot of friends and I enjoyed classes, but school wasn't always fun for me, and I know that many of you can relate to that. From when I was about 11, 12 something, I struggled a lot with fitting in. I was a bit shy and a little nerdy. On the weekends when my classmates wanted to hang out or party, I was sitting at home reading Harry Potter or watching movies like Lord of the Rings, listening to music or playing video games with my siblings or drawing. Drawing really helped me coping with a lot of anxiety. It wasn't until later, as a grown-up, I learned about HSP or highly sensitive person, which is a type of character trait, and I could check all the boxes when reading about it. It explained a lot why I was always so exhausted after school and why I couldn't concentrate when it was either too noisy or super quiet, why the light in the classroom affected me, and why I struggled being around or befriending people I didn't fully trust, why I preferred being alone and sitting in my own thoughts rather than being with others, and so on and so on. In high school, which here in Sweden is usually around ages 16 to 18, we choose the program or major ourselves, and I of course chose art, even though I still struggle with anxiety and just trying to be a human being. At least now I had like-minded people around me that shared the same passion for art and being creative, and the best thing of all, hours and hours of art and craft classes. I don't miss much about school, but I loved those two huge art studios at the top floor of the school right under the attic with a view over the small town. It was my safe place. I took classes in analog and digital photography, ceramic, sculpting, glass fusing, drawing, painting, digital art, screen printing, needle felting, basically everything that was offered for me to try. I have always had a curiosity to try and learn new and different things, and I really enjoyed it. Here I could really be myself. But yeah, I have always loved drawing and painting and crafting. One of my favorite classes throughout the whole elementary school was craft class. The class alternated every other week between sewing and woodworking. Especially during my later elementary school years, the craft classes was a breathing space for me. I had my own workspace and I could go in and focus on my thing. I remember one project in sewing class. I had this pair of old jeans that I turned into a bag. Not a super advanced project really, but I drew the design myself from scratch and I was so proud of myself that my idea on the paper had been turned into a real thing. Then in woodworking class we got to use the lathe, and I remember that even though it was super scary using the sharp tools on this spinning wood piece, it was so much fun shaping it and making different designs, and I think that is something that has always motivated me in creating, to take an idea and make it into a real thing. In first grade, I was about 7. I made my very first coloring page. I was really into coloring books. I must have had like 10 of them that I was working on at the same time. So I had drawn the line art using a black water-based felt tip marker. I think it was of a forest or something, a squirrel, and maybe some mushrooms. Nothing has really changed. Then I made my mom print a bunch of copies with her very fancy copy machine, and then the next day I brought them with me to school and I handed them out to my classmates, and I remember the feeling of seeing the others sitting in their benches and coloring something that I had made. It was very strange and special at the same time to have made something that engaged others. In 8th grade, age 14, there are a couple of weeks where the students get to go to different workplaces and try working there, like an internship but for free. Through my mom's work, we knew this illustrator lady, and I requested to have my internship at her place. She had her art studio at home in this big old house on the countryside, and I remember that I was so intrigued and fascinated by all her art supplies. She had so many different pens and tools and paints and bottles with all kinds of mediums. The only supplies that I was using at that time was like color pencils and perhaps some watercolors. She made pictures for children's crosswords, among other things, for the same company that my mom was working for, and that is how they knew each other. And I got to color one of the little illustrations that she made for one of the crosswords. It was very simple, just a picture of a backpack, I think, but it was my very first time using liquid watercolors, and I was so nervous that I would mess it up, but apparently she was pleased with it, which was a relief. Then a couple of years later, I was the one making illustrations for children's crosswords for that same company. But yeah, that internship really opened my eyes to the possibility to have your hobby as your work, that you can be at home drawing or painting and get paid for it. What a dream! So yeah, school showed me many different ways to be creative, and then art in return helped me to get through school at certain times. Many things I did back then just for fun, I'm still doing today, but now I have turned it into my job, my profession, and I am aware that not everyone are as fortunate to be able to work with their hobby or passion, but what I wish and hope for everyone is that they get to do what they love in some way or another, no matter what. Speaking of school, what is going on with this magical little classroom? I was a bit worried at one point that it was turning out too dark, especially when coloring the floor. It felt like everything was blending together, but I left it overnight and then I came back refreshed and I thought it wasn't that bad. I used some color pencils to add some highlights, shading and texture, and I think it really helped separating and defining the different objects and the characters. Lastly, I added white gel pen for some sparkles and details. I am really happy with how this turned out. It is so cute and I love the color scheme, and I hope you guys like it too. I think it is so much fun with the witch kitties doing their things, making potions, casting spells, feeding the class pet plant, and discussing magical creatures and herbs. So we have the initial prompts, which are school, charm, moon, floral and backpack, but I also managed to add some other prompts from the Kattvalk list, like jar, bubble, stain, hidden, pattern, cauldron, ice, basket, snacks, wings and stripes. You will have to figure out yourself though where I put them. Some of them are a little more obvious than others, but you will find the whole Kattvalk prompt list over at my social medias. Let me know, will you participate? Thank you so much Ohuhu for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check out their back to school sale. Links are in the description. That is all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!